There's a moment every evening when the house greets me. Lights blink on softly. Music starts, always the same playlist. The thermostat adjusts. A calm female voice says, "Welcome home, Sarah." And I always answer out loud, even if no one's around. "Thanks, Ava." That's our smart system. Ava. She knows my routines better than my mother ever did. She tracks groceries, plays bedtime lullabies, even reminds me when I haven't drunk enough water. My husband, Andrew, calls it the best decision we ever made. And for a while, it felt like that. We had a routine. Work, school, dinner, bedtime stories for Lily. A glass of wine. Maybe a documentary before bed. Nothing groundbreaking, but it was stable. Safe. Until last Thursday. I came home early, a canceled meeting, rare free afternoon. The sun was still out. I remember thinking how nice it would be to get ahead on dinner, maybe surprise Andrew with something homemade. Ava greeted me, lights clicked on. I walked into the kitchen, dropped my bag, and headed to the fridge. That's when it happened. "You have one new message," Ava announced. I froze. We don't use the voice message feature. Haven't in years. Before I could say anything, the audio started playing. It was a woman's voice. Warm, nervous, familiar. "Hey, I wasn't sure if I should leave this, but I miss you. Last night, I haven't stopped thinking about it. You said you'd talk to her. Did you? Please don't leave me hanging like this again." Pause. Then, "I know you said you needed more time, but I'm starting to feel like I don't exist in your real life. I want to be more than this." End of message. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. Then Ava said, "Message from Pamela. 8:03 p.m. last night. Pamela. Our friend Pamela. Brunch on Sundays Pamela. The one who brought Lily a handmade quilt for her birthday. The one who cried during our anniversary toast last year. That Pamela." I didn't scream. Didn't throw my phone or demand answers. I just stood there, letting the silence wrap around me. Letting the reality shift. The house, so smart, so helpful, had just told me something no human had. Andrew is cheating. And he didn't even bother hiding it from the operating system. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there with my eyes open, listening to Andrew's breathing. Slow, steady, like a man with nothing on his mind. I counted the seconds between his inhales. 15, 20. He snored once, and I hated that it still sounded comforting. In the morning, he made coffee like always. Kissed my cheek. Asked how my meeting went. I said it was fine. And he smiled. Pamela. Of all people. That name echoed through me like a fire alarm in a quiet room. I couldn't make it make sense. She held Lily when she was 2 hours old. She was there when I cried over that job I didn't get. She gave us a damn fondue pot at our wedding. And now she was calling my husband baby behind my back? I wanted to scream. Instead, I asked Ava, quietly, when no one was home, "Any other recent messages?" A pause. Then, "You have 7 archived audio files from Pamela, recorded in the last 3 weeks. 7. I sat down. Play the oldest. It started with a laugh. Low, soft. "I can't believe I'm doing this," she said. "You looked so handsome at dinner. The way you touched my wrist, it stayed with me all night." I felt sick. Next, I whispered. Message 2 was her asking him to sneak away for a weekend. Message 3, she was crying. "I don't know who I am in this anymore. I thought I could handle being the other woman, but you said you'd talk to her. I feel like I'm being hidden." Again. Every message was another knife. And the worst part? She didn't sound like someone manipulating him. She sounded in love. She sounded like someone who really believed they had something real. It made me wonder what Andrew had promised her. What version of me he'd described. How long it had been going on. How many dinners I'd cooked while he texted her in the bathroom. I replayed that first message in my head again and again. You said you'd talk to her. So, it wasn't new. This wasn't an impulsive mistake. This was a pattern. A plan. I looked at the kitchen drawer where we kept all the party invites, birthdays, BBQs, holidays. Everyone with Pamela's name on it suddenly looked like a joke. All those hugs. All those conversations. Fake. And not just from him. From her. I wanted to confront them both. Slam doors. Make noise. But I didn't. Instead, I opened a blank notes file on my phone. And started a list. Pamela's messages saved. Andrew's phone behavior. Recent passcode change. Deleted calendar invites from last Thursday. Lily's sleepover weekends. Did he plan around those? If they were going to lie that cleanly, I would match them with silence sharper than a scream. They thought I didn't know. They had no idea. I didn't ask him anything. No, who is she? No, how could you? No, are you in love? Instead, I watched. I moved through the house like always, school lunches, laundry, emails, dentist appointments. But behind my eyes? Calculation. It's strange how quickly you shift from wife to observer. From building a life to dissecting one. I started testing the house. Ava, I asked one morning while Andrew was in the shower, what was Andrew's last location last Thursday? Ava chirped. Andrew arrived home at 9:42 p.m. I smiled. That was later than he said. Not by much. But enough. He'd told me he had a late meeting. He came in smelling like mint and soap. Fresh. Too fresh. I asked Ava again the next day. About Tuesday. About Saturday. Each answer was logged. I started noticing things I'd ignored for years. How often his Apple Watch buzzed when we were on the couch. How he'd grab his phone and turn away slightly, just enough. How he didn't touch me anymore, but smiled brighter at his screen than he did at me. At night, I lay awake while he slept, replaying her voice in my mind. You said you'd talk to her. He never did. Because he didn't think he had to. That's what burned the most. Not even the betrayal itself, but the quiet confidence he had that I would never notice. And maybe before, I wouldn't have. But now? I noticed everything. Like how the trash can's voice log, yes, even our trash has sensors, picked up empty wine bottles on nights I didn't drink. Or how the shower was used at 5:40 p.m. last Wednesday, while I was still at the office. He wasn't even good at hiding it. He was just confident I wouldn't look. And why wouldn't he be? I had built my whole life around being understanding. Around being chill. I thought being low maintenance would protect me. Turns out, it just made me easier to betray. The night he came home humming, actually humming, I stared at him like he was a stranger. Good day? I asked. Yeah, he said, smiling into the fridge. Productive. I nodded. Anything interesting? Nope. I made a mental note. Happy, relaxed. Left work at 6:15 p.m. Got home at 8:07. I asked Ava the next morning. Andrew arrived at Pamela's residence at 6:34 p.m., departed at 7:41 p.m. Right on time. The house, the one he picked out, the one he insisted would simplify our lives, had become my closest ally. Because smart homes, it turns out, don't lie. He wanted automation. I found surveillance. And the more I gathered, the less I wanted to scream. Because when you know the truth that clearly, there's no need to raise your voice. I texted her midweek. Girls' night soon? Just us. It's been forever. She answered with a heart emoji. Of course she did. We picked Thursday. I offered to cook. She brought wine. Pinot Grigio, our old standby. The one we always joked tastes like adult juice boxes. Everything was normal. Or whatever passes for normal when your stomach is full of acid and your heart is frozen solid. She arrived at 6:45, all smiles and summer scarf. Hugged me like she wasn't sleeping with my husband. Smells amazing in here, she said. I smiled. You know, I only use garlic when I like the company. We sipped wine. Talked about summer plans. She showed me pictures from her sister's wedding. I nodded through all of it. Took mental notes of how easily she lied with her face. Lily was at a sleepover. Andrew was at the gym, allegedly. And the house was listening. Halfway through our second glass, I stood up and said, "I want to show you something." She blinked. "Okay." I walked over to the smart speaker in the living room. "Ava," I said calmly, "play Pamela, March 18th. There was a pause. Then her voice, soft and intimate, filled the room. "I couldn't stop thinking about how you touched me last night. I miss you already. She doesn't see you the way I do. You deserve better." Pamela went still. I didn't look at her. "Ava, play Pamela, March 27th. Another message. Tell her, Andrew. Please. This limbo is killing me. I want us to be real." Silence. I turned to face her. Pamela's lips were pale. Her wine glass trembled slightly in her hand. "I don't," she started. "You do," I said. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. And in that pause, something inside me clicked. I wasn't hurt anymore. I wasn't even angry. I was done. "You need to leave," I said quietly. "Now." Her eyes widened. "Sarah, No. Don't insult either of us. Just go." She stood, too fast, bumping the table. The wine glass tipped, but didn't fall. She didn't say another word. Just grabbed her bag and hurried out like the house might chase her down the street. I watched her go. Then I sat back down, topped off my glass, and took a long sip. Ava said nothing. The house was silent. But in that silence, I finally felt something I hadn't in weeks. Control. Andrew showed up the next morning with flowers. White tulips, the kind he bought when my grandmother died. He stood in the doorway like a teenage boy who crashed his parents' car. "I messed up," he said. "I know I did. I don't even know how it got that far. It just happened." I didn't move. He held the flowers tighter. "Please, Sarah. For Lily. For us. Can we try?" The part of me that wanted to scream was tired. So I nodded. We agreed on therapy. Not for forgiveness. Not even for healing. Just to understand the wreckage. Her name was Dr. Kent. Neutral voice, soft eyes, a clock ticking too loudly behind her head. In the first session, she asked us to describe what brought us here. Andrew launched into his speech. Said things like, "I felt invisible," and "Pamela made me feel wanted." I said nothing. Second session, she asked us to share something we missed about each other. He said, "I miss how safe you made everything feel." I said, "I miss who I used to be when I trusted you." By the third session, I wasn't crying anymore. Andrew was. He cried about losing our routine, our inside jokes, the way I used to laugh at his dumb impressions. He said he hated who he became. I nodded. I did too. Dr. Kent said we were making progress. We filled out homework worksheets, active listening drills, eye contact exercises. At home, we tried. We sat at the dinner table and asked each other how our days went. We watched movies and stayed off our phones. We even had 1 or 2 nights where it almost felt normal again. Like the oldest peeked through for a minute before slipping away. But underneath it, something was off. I kept waiting for a moment, a spark, a shift, something to click and say, "Yes, this is right. You're on your way back." It never came. I looked at him across the couch and felt gratitude, familiarity, even a bit of comfort. But not love. Not the love I once had. Not the kind you rebuild from. And I started to wonder if maybe I didn't want it back. Maybe I couldn't go back to being the woman who didn't ask questions, who believed explanations just because they were spoken gently. That woman had died the night Ava played Pamela's voice in our living room. And maybe that was okay. Maybe this wasn't a love story with a second act. Maybe it was a clean break dressed up as repair. Either way, I kept showing up, doing the work. But I stopped trying to resurrect something that was already ash. I didn't plan it. It wasn't some act of revenge or a dramatic rebound. It was quiet. Like most mistakes that aren't really mistakes, just small slips into something that feels better than nothing. Claire worked in our marketing department. Sharp, self-assured, always smelled like bergamot and espresso. We bonded over deadlines and sarcasm. At first, It was nothing more than easy conversation at the office coffee machine. Then it became lunches. Then late texts. Then one night, after a client dinner that ran too long and ended with too many glasses of wine, she kissed me in the elevator. I didn't stop her. The kiss didn't shake the world. There were no fireworks. Just warmth. Contact. A sense of being wanted, uncomplicated and wordless. We didn't talk about it. It just continued. Small meetings. Hidden moments. No expectations. And still no spark. I thought maybe I was broken. That maybe Andrew took something with him when he betrayed me. But the more I tried to find that feeling again, desire, excitement, even guilt, the more I realized it wasn't about him. It was about me. I didn't feel bad about Claire. But I didn't feel much of anything. That was the part that scared me. I kept thinking if I stayed close to someone, anyone, the numbness would lift. That if I pressed my skin against another body long enough, something inside would thaw. It didn't. One night, we were lying in my bed. Claire asleep, her arm across my waist. I stared at the ceiling, wide awake, heart quiet. And I thought, I'm not healing. I'm hiding. The next morning, I told her the truth. You're lovely, I said. But I'm not ready. I don't think I want to try and be ready either. Not like this. Claire took it well. Too well. Which told me she wasn't really in it either. We hugged. She left. That was that. I didn't feel guilty. But I did feel honest. For the first time in months, I wasn't pretending. Not to Andrew. Not to Claire. Not to myself. That night, I opened the divorce documents that had been sitting in my email drafts for weeks. I clicked print. Then I made tea. And slept through the night. I told him on a Sunday. The house smelled like citrus cleaner and laundry sheets. Lily was at her friend's birthday party. The windows were open. Light poured in like we were starring in a commercial for happiness. Andrew was chopping vegetables in the kitchen. He looked relaxed. Maybe even hopeful. I sat at the table, folded my hands. Andrew, I said. I'm done. He paused mid-slice. With what? This, I said. Us. The therapy. The pretending. He blinked. What are you talking about? We've been doing better. I nodded slowly. We've been performing better. That's not the same. He put the knife down. I thought we were getting somewhere. We were, I said. But it's not where I want to be. He stared at me. Because of Claire? No, I said. Because of everything. I looked around the room. The polished counters. The blinking lights. The screen on the wall displaying the dinner timer. The subtle hum of Ava adjusting the air quality. This house used to feel like home, I said. Now it just feels like surveillance with memory. Andrew didn't say anything. Ava knows my schedule, my voice, my coffee order. But even she didn't catch what was happening between us. Or maybe she did. And I just didn't want to listen. He tried again. Sarah, don't throw everything away because it got hard. I laughed, soft and bitter. This didn't get hard. It got dishonest. He leaned forward. You said you wanted to rebuild. I did. And I tried. But I don't want to live inside a broken thing just because we painted over the cracks. The silence between us wasn't angry. It was exhausted. I stood up, walked to the printer in the office, and brought back a folder. Inside, the divorce papers. Already filled out. Already signed. His hands shook slightly as he took them. I don't hate you, I said. He nodded. I don't even want revenge. He looked up. I just want my life back. And I meant it. Not a new life. Not a better man. Not poetic closure. Just my life. With peace. With privacy. With space. I gathered my bag, walked outside, and sat on the porch swing. The house didn't say anything. For once, Ava stayed quiet. Good. Because I didn't need a smart assistant. I needed a clean exit. 2 years went by like steam on a mirror. You see the shape of it, but it fades as soon as you try to trace it. Andrew moved out. We split custody. No major drama. Just drop-offs, pickups, and shared Google calendars. He stayed in the city, got a new apartment with exposed brick and bad parking, joined a trendy co-working space, bought a dog he named Theo. Classic post-divorce accessories. Then came Sophie. She was bright, young, and shiny, like a filtered Instagram version of what a fresh start is supposed to look like. Lily met her after 6 months. Dad's new girlfriend is pretty, she told me. Like a magazine lady. I nodded. That's nice. Also, Lily added, she doesn't know how to cook rice. I smiled at that. By the time they got married, I didn't even blink. I didn't stalk her social media. I didn't Google their wedding registry. I didn't wonder if she wore the same dress I once did, said the same vows he said to me. I just didn't care. But Lily noticed things. Mom, Sophie's always texting her trainer. Oh! Yeah, like always. Even during dinner. I didn't react. She says he's just a friend, but she giggles a lot when she talks to him. I stirred the pasta. I didn't ask for details. I didn't probe. Because I already knew how that story ends. Andrew was repeating a cycle, and I wasn't part of it anymore. The part that once would have burned, the idea of someone else betraying him, didn't spark anything now. I didn't want to say I told you so. I wanted to say thank you for proving that I wasn't the problem. But I didn't say anything at all. I just kept stirring the sauce, adjusting the heat, and setting the table for two. Me and Lily. The family that didn't fall apart. Just rearranged. Later that week, Andrew texted me. One of those messages that feels like it wants to say more than it actually does. Hey, just checking in. Hope everything's good. I didn't reply. Not because I was angry, but because silence was finally my favorite sound. The house was the last thing to go. It had stood like a monument to everything we once thought we were: modern, efficient, perfect on paper. But somewhere along the way, it became a cage. A sleek, quiet prison where the lights knew my schedule better than my husband ever did. I listed it in the spring. I sold the whole thing. Furniture, appliances, Ava, the works. A tech-savvy couple bought it, thrilled about the fully integrated lifestyle. I packed light. Just what I needed. No TV. No smart speakers. No more reminders from a digital voice that never forgot, even when I wanted to. The new place was small, older, with creaky floors and chip tile. The windows didn't auto-tint. The thermostat had a dial. The stove was temperamental. I loved it. It forced me to do everything with my own hands. No more one-tap grocery lists or climate presets. I chopped garlic and cried real tears from it. I wrote notes on paper. I used a pen that smudged. I learned the weather by walking outside. At night, it was quiet. Not smart home quiet. Real quiet. I started sleeping better. I bought books again. Actual books, with covers that bent and pages that smelled like something. I stopped apologizing for being tired. Or for being quiet. Or for not answering texts fast enough. Sometimes Lily would say, "Mom, you're different." I'd ask, "Bad different?" She'd shake her head. No. Just, you feel lighter. And maybe I was. Not happier. Not healed like a movie ending. But lighter. There were days when I missed the convenience. But never the control. Never the illusion of safety while everything underneath me cracked. I didn't need smart lights that followed me from room to room. I needed a place that let me disappear when I wanted to. I didn't need reminders. I needed space. So I gave it to myself. And every time I turned a knob, opened a window, lit a candle by hand, it felt like I was writing a new contract with myself. No terms. No subscriptions. Just presence. Just breath. Just me. The divorce finalized on a Tuesday. No dramatic scene. No courtroom drama. Just a PDF in my inbox titled Final Judgment of Dissolution. I opened it, skimmed, closed it. That was it. My name at the top, Sarah Bennett. No hyphen. No shared last name. No attachments. Just me. A few days later, Andrew sent another message. Saw Lily's art project on your fridge last week. She's really talented. I didn't answer. Then another. I was thinking about that trip we took to Maine. Remember the lighthouse? Still nothing. Not because I was angry. That had burned out long ago. But because some stories don't need sequels. He kept trying little messages, memory breadcrumbs, casual hellos wrapped in nostalgia. I let them sit there. Read, not replied to. I owed him nothing. Closure isn't always a conversation. Sometimes it's the decision not to open the door. I wasn't erasing history. I just wasn't carrying it anymore. He once told me I was the most grounded person he'd ever met. Maybe that's still true. Maybe not. But I know who I am now. Not someone's wife. Not someone's plan B. Not someone's emotional support structure. Just Sarah. I painted my front door yellow, bold and warm and a little too bright, exactly like I wanted it. I changed my email address. Got a new library card. Started signing things again with my full name, in cursive, like I did in college before I ever knew him. One afternoon, I sat on the porch with a notebook and tried to list everything I'd let go of. The need to be easy. The habit of apologizing first. The instinct to check his calendar before I made plans. And then, on the next page, I wrote what I'd kept. My sense of humor. My calm. My daughter. My name. Not a new name. Just mine.